So my name is Tracy, and I wanted to put together 3 times in my life when I really had this aha moment when I was using Angular. I had run into a feature built by Angular that I realized this was going to, not only, remove lines of code, but just save hours of time in my future. So I wanted to start with the first, about a year ago, it was my second week at the job that I'm working at now. One of the first bugs that I was asked to fix was an Internet Explorer bug. And you can see here we had our user profile information, and on Internet Explorer, you could see some of our binding expressions. And the issue was that because there wasn't anything in phone.length, and we were supposed to be showing an HTML entity, which is a double dash, but Internet Explorer was not picking that up. My coworkers were saying, maybe you need to upgrade Angular, maybe look into something else. I hunted around Stack Overflow, and basically what I found was that it just could not process the double dashes correctly. I took that back to my coworkers, and they were, they're very attached to the double dash. The double dash is all over the application, so I couldn't really use anything else. So what I did, and I found this almost immediately, I would look through Angular docs, and what I found was the ngbind template. And so instead of putting the HTML entity in the span tag, I just went ahead and used ngbind template as an attribute and used it there in quotes. And you can see what it looks like now. So before you'd actually see the binding expressions, and now if you don't have data on the profile, you just have that double dash. Just in case you're wondering, there's ngbind and ngbind template, and I could have used the other one. I honestly just jumped on this solution because it worked. And so the only difference is that with ngbind template, you can use several expressions. The next one I want to talk about is the route params. I ran into this about 6 months ago is when I started working with it, and it's really opened a lot of doors for me. I don't know how familiar people are with it, but I started working with it when I was working on this accounts feature. We have a lot of clients that have subgroups, or maybe they want to share data with one marketing team and not the other. So I needed to create these accounts that could create other accounts and share data with specific users. And so unfortunately, according to the way that the interface was designed, it was just a lot trickier than it sounds. And I have this sample code right here. It's not the exact code from the application that I work on, obviously. But all I really have to do here in my routes is just pass through this customer ID. And then over here you can see in my controller, I just set customer ID equal to route params.customer ID. And then if I select this, which is a link, I can go ahead and pass the customer ID. This is within an ng repeat, obviously. So I pass the customer ID. You can see that this is the actual link in the browser. So I have 4. And then I just logged it in the console so you can kind of see the route params object, and you have that number 4. So it was a really simple way for me to carry the information that I needed through the flow until the end of it. And it's a lot more powerful than I'm giving it credit for, but this is just one simple example of it. The last one I want to talk about is Angular date filters, and these are really simple. They're so easy to use. I just want to call it out because when I was working on something a few years ago, my boss had called me on like a Saturday because all of the data that was coming back from this form that I had created, I was coming to the back end, and the date that they were storing was inaccurate. And so I had to look into it immediately, obviously. And when I looked into the controller, I found something that looked like this, obviously. We had a date that looked like that string. And what my coworker had done was he, instead of just manipulating the data on the front end, he actually was slicing it out. So all we really were left with was 2016, July 31st. And so that was so that we could display it to the customer on the view, in a more digestible way. But the problem is that the back end was expecting a lot more than that. So I caught on pretty quickly, and I already knew about Angular date filters. So all I had to do was just remove his code, and then you can see in this example, I just, at the end here, at this table data tag, I just pushed through, pipe date short, and this is what that would look like in this example. So yeah, that came in handy, and it was like a 5-minute fix, which was lucky because it was a Saturday, so I didn't have to spend all day trying to figure that out. I also wanted to give a shout out to my company who is paying for me to be here. And it's a Crowd Scout, and we are based in Washington, D.C. And we are a data-driven marketing and analysis platform. I know that's a lot of buzzwords and it sounds gross, but we are really cool, I promise. And we are obviously hiring all the time. And if you are interested in talking about it at all, you can feel free to talk to me at any time during the conference, or just go ahead and shoot me an email. It's just Tracy@crowdscout.com. That's a K in the middle there. Okay, awesome. Thank you.